What makes a bad professional wrestling match? Is it the unimportance of a match? Is it bad booking? Is it just the performers really not doing well? Sometimes it's all three. I have found 9 of the worst WWE matches of 2024, and we're gonna list them 9 to 1 and discuss the worst match of the year. In my opinion, by the way, you might have other YouTubers out there that's gonna have lists completely different from mine. This is just my perspective. I've gone to a lot of shows this year as well. Maybe watching it at home isn't as bad of an experience as watching a certain match live, but oh man, there's a couple for me. These are my 9 personal least favorite matches of 2024, and we'll discuss exactly why I have each match placed where they are. Let's start with number 9. It's Damian Priest, Seth Rollins for Money in the Bank. Listen, I don't necessarily blame any one specific person for the way that I feel about this match, but the kick out, the botched kick out, we all know it. You know, he didn't kick out off of Falcon Arrow, and you know, something that's not, you know, it just happens. I don't blame Priest for that, really. You know what I'm saying? Wrestlers aren't gonna be perfect 100% of the time, but it did kill the rest of the match. You know what I mean? I think it's one thing to not heavily criticize somebody while also saying, hey, listen, that moment did make this match bad. You know what I mean? Damian Priest had a good World Heavyweight Championship run. He did have some genuine bangers in that. This, unfortunately, should have been one of them and wasn't one of them. Also, you add in the factor of Drew McIntyre cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase the same night he wins it, and then Punk just costing him, just completely getting rid of the briefcase. I called it at the time. It was a big triumphant moment for me, being like, Drew's gonna cash in the same night and Punk's gonna cost him. But retrospectively, it's like, damn, so many other people could have won that briefcase. Jey Uso could have won that briefcase. You could have had the Bloodline cost Jey Uso his cash in, and that's what leads him to War Games. Why'd you give him the Intercontinental title for 3 weeks? It's definitely not like the worst match ever. If this was like a worst matches of the decade list, this would be nowhere on there because it was a genuinely good match overall. But again, it's the one moment that just takes you out of it. You know what I mean? Wrestling's all about suspending your disbelief, whether or not that's trying to make you think that it's real, or just kind of immersing yourself in, you know, the action and the storytelling that they're trying to do. And when stuff like this happens, it just kind of snaps you out of it. And this was one of those occasions. Coming in at number 8. Now this match, you know, from seeing the reaction of this match, people either really, really like it or really hate it. And if you're gonna have a scale of really like it to really hate it, I'm like, here, because it's the Women's War Games match from this year. Now, when you get Io Sky slipping off of, you know what I mean? That's when you know, okay, things have gone wrong here. Now, my biggest gripe with this match is the first half. I think once after Io Sky gets in there, it gets better, and I think there's actually a pretty cool, you know, little flurry towards the end and stuff like that. You know, obviously Io jumping off the top, Tiffany jumping off the top, and even like the ending sequence was cool, but the entrances of people coming in was so weird. Like, they just kept looking under the ring for weapons that like were not there. There was like 6 times where people would be like, oh, is there something under here? Nope, okay, we're going in the ring. And then when they did get weapons, they like didn't hit each other with them. And I know that you're not supposed to like hurt people in the ring, but I think it's kind of bad when you have to, you know, go like this. Like, that's how hard they were hitting each other with these chairs. They were like, and you know what I mean? Like, I get being safe, but you know, sometimes you can be a little too safe. Also, I mean, if you go back and watch the first half, it just feels like no one knows like what they're doing. You know what I mean? It just kind of feels a little clunky. And I hate to say that because like, who the fuck am I? I'm not like some crazy wrestling analysis, but I don't know. I think that the second half of this match pulled it through a lot, because when we were watching the first half, we were like, oh my goodness. But people seem to really like this match as well. And I guess I get why, but I wouldn't put it like high on a best list or anything like that. It's nowhere near that, in my opinion. Coming in at number 7, this is actually a match I kind of feel bad putting on this list, because I don't think anybody that performed in it did anything wrong. I think it was the way the match ended killed the match completely for me. It's Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan at Bad Blood, with Dominic Mysterio hanging from a shark cage. Now, how this match ended was while Dominic Mysterio is, you know, I guess hanging from the shark cage. I'm just going off of memory, but Raquel Rodriguez gets in the ring, or she does whatever she does to Rhea Ripley, And the referee like sees it. He like sees it heavily. He's like staring at it like this close. But then he like tries to pretend he didn't see it and turn around and go check on Dominic, who's like hanging off of the shark cage. And then he's like, wait a minute, I think I did just see that happen. And then he goes back and like I think he even passes Raquel. I think there's even a moment where like she like walks right by him and he's just gotta like pretend he doesn't see it. And then he, instead of what the finish was supposed to be, which was Liv pinning Rhea with the help of Raquel, it's now a disqualification, and this was all just kind of pointless. I mean, if it's anybody's fault, it's the referees. You know what I mean? You gotta know when something's happening, and he didn't. Now, I don't think I've necessarily hated any of the matches on this list so far. We're getting to the ones that have actively pissed me off. Coming in at number 6 on that list is the Bloodline, well, sorta, Roman Reigns and the Usos against Solo Sikoa and his Bloodline at Crown Jewel. Roman Reigns got pinned in this match and no one made a sound. The crowd participation is so important when it comes to big wrestling matches. You think about Rock Hogan. If the crowd was silent for that, people would just been like, all right, well, that was just like a nothing match. But it was, you know, made more special because of the crowd. Everything Daniel Bryan did in the Yes Movement era was crowd funded pretty much. But like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like no one made a sound in this match. And I don't think they should have. I think the match was pretty piss poor. I think it was pretty like, honestly boring. And I feel weird saying that because when it comes to Roman Reigns matches nowadays, or just Bloodline matches in general, I don't feel like that. I don't have that feeling. Okay, like they go long, but I don't leave a Roman Reigns match going, oh God, like, well, why did we do that? This made me go, why did we do that? You know, Solo pinned Roman. Everybody was like, oh. And then, afterwards, the Sammy stuff was cool, but I still feel like it didn't get the big, loud, enormous reception that I feel like it should have gotten. You know, this started the show, you got to kick a show off hot, and this was just like a nothing 6-man, and it kind of, you know what I mean? This is not the only 6-man tag team match that I have on this list, by the way. We'll get to the other one very soon, but before that, we got to talk about our number 5 pick, Ethan Page versus Trick Williams. Now, Ethan Page, this is his first match in NXT. I think it was his first title match, at least, since joining WWE. And this was just like, boring. You know what I mean? Like, I like Ethan Page and I really like Trick Williams. You know what I mean? I think they're both very talented. I think they're both very charismatic, but they just do not gel well together. You know what I mean? I don't think the crowd bought into Ethan Page being NXT champion just about yet. I don't think they still did when he won the title, but definitely not here. This was just kind of like, do you remember any spot from this match at all? Please let me know. When you main event an NXT pay-per-view, I feel like any main event ever, actually, it should be something that people are very excited to see. And this was one of the 2 examples I have on this list because there is another NXT main event that, what the fuck are we doing? But yeah, this is just one of those matches where it's like, don't care, boring, predictable outcome, pretty bad. Now coming in at number 4 on this list, it is the other 6-man tag team match I was talking about. This one I was there live in the building for. It was Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes versus the Bloodline for Money in the Bank. Talk about a fucking snooze fest. This was the main event of a show, and it meant nothing. This match didn't lead to anything incredible. It led to, Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam, which was a match that was only made to bring back Roman Reigns. So we used the main event of Money in the Bank to build that, and the way we did that is by having the most boring 6-man tag team match of all time. It's hard when you are in the main event slot of a show, especially Money in the Bank, and we just had a world championship match, we had an intercontinental championship match, we had 2 ladder matches that I honestly enjoyed a lot, and now you're just giving us like a 6-man tag that has no stakes. Solo like became a contender for the title. He pinned Cody in this match. What? Cody's been pinned a lot this year, by the way. Drew pinned him, Solo pinned him, Rock pinned him, all right? Gunther can't pin him, but whatever. Also, Tongaloa botching the low blow is pretty cool. He had to hit him in the nuts twice. Yeah, maybe watching this, at home wasn't as bad or terrible, but my goodness, I was bored. Coming in at number 3, it is another Trick Williams match, which is terrible because I really, really, really like Trick Williams. I think he can talk, I think he can wrestle, and he's so over with the crowd. But they put him in a main event slot against Ridge Holland. Yep. Here's my gripe with this match. And I don't, really like getting on the Ridge Holland hate train. He messed up, a couple years ago. I don't want to just say that happens because it pretty much ended a man's career. But unfortunately, stuff like that happened. I don't think he meant to hurt anybody. But I also don't think that's indicative of him as a wrestler overall. However, I feel like to main event a pay-per-view, especially for a championship, you have to have like some kind of heat on you. I feel like you have to get some sort of a pop from a crowd like ever. And he doesn't do that. I think he's got I don't know how to separate go-away heat from heel heat. Ridge Holland has go-away heat. No one wanted to see this match. No one asked to see this match. People wanted to see Andre Chase versus Trick Williams instead of this match. Even me sitting here now, I'm like, damn, why didn't they just main event with Andre Chase? They broke up Chase U for this match to happen, by the way. Like, I can't, this is like the equivalent to the main roster going, okay, who do we need Cody Rhodes to defend this belt against? I was gonna say The Miz, but I feel like The Miz would, people would watch that. Coming in at number 2, this match, oh my God. I thought this match was shorter than it was. I had to go back and look, but it's Piper Niven versus Mia Yim on the SmackDown premiere. I think it's September 13th. Now, we're having this big premiere episode of WWE SmackDown. Starts off with Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa in a steel cage for the WWE Championship. New theme song, new logo, new look. You're really trying to, show these, potentially new fans what WWE and SmackDown could possibly all be about. And the only women's match they run on the show, the only one, is Piper Niven versus Mia Yim. It is a 2-minute match. A 2-minute pretty much squash match. Now, if I say Piper Niven versus Mia Yim in a squash match, who do you think wins? No, Mia Yim beat Piper Niven in 2 minutes. 30 seconds of this match was Mia Yim trying to find a kendo stick to hit Chelsea Green with. That was about a fourth of the match. It's a big show. That's what pissed me off, is that SmackDown was supposed to be like a really big deal. Like a really big deal. And the only showcase of women's wrestling you have on that show is a 2-minute nothing match of 2 women that you're supposed to be building up. One woman that is gonna potentially be the next mid-card champion in the women's division. Piper Niven got beaten in 2 minutes. I don't care what your thoughts are about Piper Niven, whatever her status is on the card or whatever. You think somebody like that should be losing in 2 minutes? And that's the only women's match on the show? Are you nuts? It just makes like women's wrestling seem so, like, who cares? You know what I mean? Triple H doesn't care. That match actively upset me, it pissed me off. I watched it, I was like, what? I remember turning my phone on to watch it on YouTube TV, and I turned my head, and I turned back, and it was over. I said, what? And then finally coming in at number 1, I mean, let's have several year long, possibly lifelong story of 2 people that have been so close and intertwined for so long. And there's been some internal conflict between those 2. And for years, they're both trying to battle it, themselves. Personally, together, they're trying to battle through these conflicts. And just after years of intense buildup, it all, they'll lash out on each other in this big blow-off WrestleMania match. And then they just throw super kicks for fucking 10 minutes. It's Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Wow. This is one of the best WrestleManias of all time, in my opinion. I think it's got one of the best matches of all time on there in the main event. Sorry to spoil the best matches video, but this was bad. Not only is it the worst match of the weekend, it's the worst match of the year. You want to talk about importance of a match, and they just shat on it. Structure of the match, not good. It just made me sad how disappointed. This was a match I was really looking forward to. And it started off hot. I think like Jay jumped Jimmy before the bell or something like that. And it was promising, and then they just did nothing for a while. And before it could even kick into third gear, I guess it got into second gear, I guess, but before it could get in third gear, it just ends. And it's like, okay, well, I thought, they've been in a conflict with Roman Reigns for the last 3 years. Thought maybe they'd have more time at, WrestleMania, but I guess not. And they had what they had. Hey, I wasn't even planning on being on camera because I'm I'm not recording today, I'm just editing. But the video cut off at the end. Thank God I didn't do that before. Pretty much what the outro was gonna be was, hey, if I missed out anything, let me know. If there's anything you put in this list that I didn't put in, please tell me in the comments. If there's something that I put in that shouldn't have been put in, also let me know. We're gonna do the best list up next. We're gonna have a Reddit video in between that, but it'll be a Reddit, and then it'll be the best matches of 2024. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you soon.